Welcome back. I'm Connie Sokol, your host, and we have a fabulous alumni returning today. Where are they now? We're going to talk today about writing in that spirit-led mindset, how to get into that mindset, what to do with it, and how to make it happen for the things that you are feeling called to write. And we're going to hear from one of our program alumna who is here today. It is our beautiful Rachel Benson. Hi, sweetie.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, I am so thrilled. We were just talking a few minutes ago, and it just touches my heart when I can see the things that people have learned and we've all synergized together, and then they've taken it and springboarded, and they're working in those materials, using the medium, and they're making things happen. So we're going to talk about that today. What kind of spurred this on was that she sent me a message on Messenger and was talking about just how powerful it was for her in the writing of what she's doing and being able to do it when she's feeling that sort of what we call in the spiritual zone, right? When you feel the downloads, that Parley P. Pratt quote, where the Holy Ghost enlightens and enlivens everything, and it gives you those almost that conduit and the feeling of pure knowledge and inspiration, and you can just type it. Oh my goodness, do we live for those moments?
Yeah.
So let's get a little background. I'm going to share a little bio about her, a little bit of information, and then we're going to get into some of these how-tos and how this has happened for her. And not like, I know you're not setting yourself up, this is the way, but she's sharing tips and tools of how we can do this on the daily. We don't have to feel like we've got to go right in the temple, right? We can do
Absolutely.
we can access this.
That would be a problem.
And exactly that. Wait a second. I'm going to take it a little note paper, right? Although I wish we could. She is the wife, mom, grandma, blogger, and award-winning real estate agent who is obsessed with all things home and family. It's beautiful. After coming into marriage with virtually no homemaking or culinary parenting skills, she learned that secret to success in home and family life starts with managing our thoughts. And as she realized that, she wanted to do something about it and help other women. And so she started a blog, mom-mindset.com, which is a resource for moms to help them intentionally create the life of their dreams as a wife and a mother and a homemaker, no matter what that situation looks like for you that's listening.
Absolutely.
And she believes it all starts with what's on your mind. So today we're going to talk about writing in the spirit. So I love this.
Awesome.
Your whole life experience has helped you sort of come down to this sort of niche for yourself of, I see the need. I want to share things that will help this need. Tell us kind of where you got started with this of where did you start feeling those little rumblings of, I'm not the only one that's dealing with this. What were some of the experiences you were having or some of the stresses or the mindset issues you were having?
Well, like I said, I knew before I was married, when I was really young, that I wanted to have a big family, be a stay-at-home mom, which was not my upbringing at all. But that was my dream, and I think it's a dream for so many of us to be a stay-at-home mom, to have our cute little house and our husband, and just our little corner of the world that's all ours, and our cute little kids. And I did love it, and I did find a lot of joy in it. But just the day-to-day, I just found myself, when I was a young mom, one of the first blog posts I ever wrote was called "The Day My Kids Stopped Driving Me Crazy." And I found myself as a young mom always being like, oh, my kids are driving me crazy. I need to get out. I need some me time, all this kind of stuff. And one day it just hit me. That is like, well, at the time I thought of it as a cassette tape. So I was playing on, rewind, play that again.
I'm with you.
And it's like a computer program, and my husband's a programmer, and he'll tell you, if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And so of course the kids were driving me crazy. That's what I was repeating in my mind over and over all day long. And when that hit me, I was just like, wow, I need to look at this differently. And so I started saying to myself, this is only a moment, this temper tantrum, this problem that we're having, it's not a bad day, it's not a bad week, it's not a bad stage of childhood, because they're toddlers or they're teenagers. I just realized this is just a moment, this will pass, and just that one thought was so calming to me that I started like finding a lot of different ways to apply that. And I just started seeing more and more ways that it was really just my mindset that was limiting me and, creating some of these problems. And I just came to realize that a lot of problems can stop with us in our minds. They're created in our minds, and they can stop there too when we start thinking differently.
I love that. And that reminds me in the scriptures, that whole concept as a man thinketh, and that as we
Yes.
think, then that it's the thoughts that are the start of all things. The thought is the problem or the solution before we actually enact it. We know everything's been spiritually created before it was temporally created. So the way we view something, the lens that we put on something, that's going to shift the way we speak and act and how we perceive, and then eventually the outcome. So I love that you're starting with that mom mindset. So I know that as you were thinking about that, and you were doing your blog thing, and then you did a course with me and with other women, and we all kind of synergized together, which was so beautiful. What were
Yeah.
some of the tools that you took away from that helped you start being able to get some traction in this area of, I really want to share with these women?
Yeah, well, you always teach us about, we all have that. I think so many women have that rumble, like we need something for us. And this was my thing. I mean, my other thing was I always wanted to be a real estate agent, and that waited for a certain season. But this has just been on my mind and heart since there were blogs. I mean, it was a book before there were blogs. It's just been in me for so long. And when I got the chance to take your BR Pro course, I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. And you taught us about, writing and social media and speaking. And so far, I've just been working on the writing piece. Man, I tell you, I have new respect for mom blogs. Like, I had to learn so many new skills, and I had to work on my own mindset just to hit share that first time, to hit publish. So you helped us set goals. You're so good at taking a lot of information and making it concise and digestible. And some of the suggestions, one of the first things you told us was pray for inspiration to come in between the dishes and the laundry and the carpool, and just when you're going about your day to day. And as I started to focus on my topic, you helped us kind of narrow down into our niche. And there were a lot of things that you taught us in the course. But so as I started to realize that is really what I want to talk about, is the mindset, more than there's kind of skill set and mindset. Like, I had a hard time learning to organize and keep a home. I know that's something you talk about a lot about too. And so I could learn the skill set, but as long as I was always thinking, I'm kind of messy and disorganized, that kind of kept showing up. So anyway, you helped us to recognize that inspiration. And then last year, when we were reading Doctrine and Covenants in our church study, I picked up on the phrase that Joseph Smith would say, we wrote this while we were still in the spirit. I think he said that like 4 times. I think it's section 76 of the DNC. And I was like, okay, I'm not writing revelations about the afterlife, but I'm writing about this life and how women, this can change their experience day to day. And just that idea that you gave us. I want to mention one other thing that you said that was so inspired, that has just stayed with me, was right at the beginning of the course, which was January of 2020. You said, pray to be prepared for what's ahead. And the last day of our course was the day the world shut down from COVID. And I remember I was on the phone with you. I was like, what's going on? I'm at BYU, they're shutting everything down. And and that was such an inspired thought. I had never thought to pray for that. And you were kind of telling us, like, this is going to be hard to find the time for this that you're not used to doing. And I know it was a big challenge to take the thoughts that were rattling around in my head and sounded really good up there and get them down on paper. And you helped us learn to outline and really clarify our thoughts. And anyway, so did that answer your question?
Yes, I'm blown away. Wow, you remember way more than I did. I'm like, and I said that? Wow,
I know, isn't that great?
You're a gracious memory too. I love that. And I love how you did prepare for what was ahead. And the thing I loved when I was working with you, and this is something for people listening to keep in mind, you were really good about taking things that you learned and putting it into practice in pragmatic, realistic ways. You didn't let yourself get overwhelmed, or you didn't just avoid it. You niched down and you said, no, I can do this much. Nope, I can just work on this piece. And I loved that wisdom and clarity, because just like you said, even though we were talking about being a writer, speaker in the media, you niched down to, this is the one in the season. I love that you said certain seasons, what you were talking about, your real estate. That is a really key concept, is a certain season. And we've talked before about as those that are listening and wanting to be writers, there were certain seasons for writing. There's the simmer season where there's ideas and thoughts. And there was a good 10 years where I was just reading books and conference talks because I was having so many children and I did not have time to write. And I was getting so frustrated. And he just kept saying, not now, not yet, just get filled, right? In that scripture in D&C where he says, first obtain my word, and then you'll be able to share my word, right? Which we don't want, I want to get out there and share, right? But there's that season, and then there's the season of the writing and the learning the skills and all of that. And then there's the publishing and the marketing it and getting it out there. So I love that you have given yourself permission to be in the season and then be all in the way that you can be. And sometimes we think all in means, oh, I can do it 24/7, right? But we have families, and as moms, we're mom ands. We talk a lot about that. And that's okay. We bring our mom's mites, our two mom's mites, and he can expand that and make that incredible. And that's what I've seen you do with this blog. So tell us some of the things that you're seeing that moms struggle with. What mindset issues have you seen and that you're addressing on your blog?
You know, it really touches every aspect of our life as moms. It could be our marriage. I like to say marriage, motherhood, money, all of those things. We have a mindset, you know. A lot of moms feel like I'm a bad mom because I yelled at my kids, or you know, they feel like, oh, we're living paycheck to paycheck. You know, maybe they need to get a more of an abundance mindset. They might be struggling with their marriage, thinking, you know, we're just not clicking. We're not on the same page. I wrote a post about getting on the same page as your partner. Last week, I wrote about simplifying your home. A lot of people, it's big to talk about decluttering and minimalism. I don't like that. I am no minimalist. I'm not frugal. But I love the idea of simplifying, because that is one key that I didn't understand when I was always struggling to keep my house clean. When I had 6 kids, I had a sister-in-law that lived close by. We raised all our kids together, and you could go to her house at 9 a.m. and it was already tidy. And I was always trying to pick her brains, like, what do you do? And I have come to realize now that she mastered the art of keeping things simple, you know, keeping what you use and love. And so, but we can't just decide to declutter or simplify, as I like to call it, because we'll get into all these hangups like, oh, I'm going to fit in those skinny jeans someday when we try to empty out our closet, you know, and I spent so much money on that. Oh, the tags are still hanging on it. So that's where the mindset piece comes in. And we have to be like, giving myself permission to get rid of these things that aren't working for me and make space for things that will. You know, you really have to like let things go to make that space. I found that to be so true. Like, I looked for pajamas for years. I had the grungiest old pajamas I was always wearing. I was like, I hate these things. Finally, I couldn't find new ones. I just threw them away. I'm like, I don't care what I wear. I am getting rid of these. And like the next day, I finally found some decent pajamas. And I'm really into my pajamas.
I am too. I need your scoops. I need those resources. I do a blog on it. I'm going to read that. I love that whole concept. And you're exactly right. I think there's, you know, it's just the two schools of thought, love and fear. And when we live in that fear zone or that scarcity mentality or all of those things, or the less than mentality, I love that you're addressing these things with women of these aspects of living our lives that we don't get a handbook on, but yet we still need solutions, and we still need to understand things that when we read it, we can resonate with it and say, I can do that. I can apply that. That makes sense to me. And that's what I love. Your stuff is always very, matter of fact, but with fun and a little bit of juice to it, and this pop and this little humor. And so you got all bits of all the things that you kind of walk away and feel like, I'm so satiated. Like, that was great. So I want to talk about, I want to talk about how you get into that writing space. So let's go into writing in the spirit, because here you've got this blog and it's taken, and I love the honesty and the candor, because it isn't just you pop up, wake up in the morning and go, I got a blog post and here we go. And it's all life and your experiences. And it's like you draw it out and put it on paper in a way that can resonate and help other people. So take us through a little bit of the process for you of what are some of the tips and tools on writing in the spirit?
Well, I think the first thing I did learn, like I said, I learned to do what you said and pray for that inspiration to come. You know, when I am, I could be anywhere. Like, I remember one day I got one of what you call the divine downloads in the gym. I must have looked ridiculous. Like I need to be texting on my phone right now. I just went with it. I just wrote this huge thing while I was there in the gym. And another time I remember coming back from a hike with my husband and something just came to me. My spirit is super long-winded, like 1,500 words can just pop out just like that. And and people talk about they don't know what to write about. And I'm like, I don't know what to edit. So I'm kind of opposite that way. But when something comes to me, I will just like speak it into my phone. Sometimes speaking is better. Sometimes typing is better, but always having my phone there. I know you've told me that you will make a voice note when you're at a stoplight or something. It seems like that's what you
the drive-through. Yep. And
yeah.
I'm like, hold on just 1 second.
Yeah, it's coming. I got to write it down. But I think I prepare my mind by asking that, I will recognize those things. And it took practice because, like I said, what sounded good in my head didn't always make sense on paper. But I also found that I had to designate at least one time that was for sure writing time. I wasn't just counting on all those little bits of inspiration here and there. So my time became Sunday morning. And I have just found that my brain, the reason it's Sunday morning, I must say, is because that's the only time I know no one will interrupt me. My husband has early meetings. I only have one teenager left at home. She's sleeping until the last possible minute before church. So that's when I know I will be uninterrupted. And that's when I just wake up with my head just full of ideas and inspiration. And that is when I have learned to write that blog post for the week. And I might even be telling myself, I'll get back and edit it, in the next couple of days, because I'll try to post closer to the next weekend. So I give myself a few days to revise and stuff. But now I've learned do everything. Like if you think cut that sentence or whatever, like right there, right now, when I've got the time set aside. And I've just found that the inspiration really flows when you plan to, whether it's getting your tail in your office chair or wherever you want to write. I have found that writing is best for me just sitting in my bed. If I come in my office, that's like that kind of clicks into work mode and I'll start cleaning things. And so I just grab my laptop, sit in my bed, get a cup of water and just like go. And so that is how I have learned. And then I will revise it during the week. I've also learned that I don't write well at night. I can do other things for my blog, like maybe pick out some pictures, maybe edit it. I could do social media posts. I'm still working on that angle. It's been a lot for me just to get the blog up and running. And so but yeah, my brain is not nearly as clear, like say after dinner time. That is just not a good writing time, but there's always a lot of activities to do with it, with the blog. Like there's so much I could be doing, but I just tried to limit myself. If I get one good post out a week, that's where I need to be right now. And I heard another author say that if you write 1,500 words a week, at the end of a year, you will have a good sized book. And I was like, oh, that's kind of true. And so that kind of inspired me to be like, this is enough. This is good. We've been talking a lot in our church study about how the Lord created the earth and he looked at day one, he said, this is good. And he didn't say it's perfect, it's finished, and so I tried to just tell myself, this is good for now.
I love that. And saying that aloud, because that is the bane of a writer's existence, is never knowing if you're doing good, right? That's is so important to have that feedback and be able to tell yourself, even for yourself, being able to say, this is good, this is enough, this is accepted, right? This offering, this sacrifice is accepted and it's good. I love it. And how does it feel for you when you're writing in the spirit? Is there anything that you're like, I've noticed that I'm able to be more articulate, or I've noticed that as you've been doing this, just the progress of it, how has that shifted you as a writer? What has it improved you in, or how has that helped you?
I like to use the word articulate. I haven't thought of that word, but I've noticed some traits that I can really identify in myself and others when I feel like this is spirit-led writing. One of them is clarity, which I guess you could say is articulateness. I don't know if
Yes,
that's the word.
absolutely.
Yeah. And there's just a certain clarity and inspiration that comes that you don't have to use a ton of words, to get your message across. And I think I sometimes surprise myself when I look back at what I've written. Not like it's so great, I'm still learning, but sometimes I'm like, oh, that was good. I really feel like I have the spirit there with me. It can be clear, it's more concise. I see this like with our general authorities and church leaders when they're speaking in conference. A lot of times there's just a certain clarity that you see with them that,
Yes.
I don't know, to me that is a hallmark of spirit-led speaking or writing, or even some people's amazing social media posts on Instagram. I follow one, I think it's Come Follow Me Daily, that my daughter. Yeah. Oh, absolutely beautiful. And the beautiful art. And I just feel it's inspired. You can tell they're inspired. And then it becomes so inspiring for the reader,
Oh my goodness. I love what you just shared. That is such truth. I was just saying to a friend this morning, there's that quote that says, the more advanced a civilization becomes, the more simple the things are. And it made sense to me that, you look at, there was a picture the other day that showed all of these things, a picture of like a big thing that you would carry here to play music. And there was a Walkman and there was a tape cassette thing, and there was all these things, and it had big, dictionary things and whatever. It said all these things you now can carry in your pocket. And I thought that is so true. All of these inventions and all of these things that were amazing individually, but the more that we're getting advanced, the more simplified it becomes. And we just touch a screen and it's just small and simple and sleek. And I love that you bring that up. Good writing is satisfying because, like you said, it's clear, it's simple, but it's deep. And I served a mission in Japan for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And there's a word in Japanese called pitari. And I probably am saying it so wrong. My apologies to those who are really good and peta peta. But this pitari means it's right on. It's just succinct. It's just right there and you can feel it. It just goes soup. And that's good writing. And I love that you've noticed that as you are doing writing in the spirit, that you're becoming more and more succinct and pitari. And I see that with Joseph Smith. If you read things that he had, in my opinion, that from the beginning, and then you watch how he was being trained by angels and, all these different people that came to visit him and train him. And his words and his sermons were just phenomenal. And he went from, his low education level, he was sharing and speaking with such words. Emma had said that he couldn't even finish a coherent sentence. And I know she said it in the most loving wife-like way, but you know what I mean? It couldn't even finish a coherent sentence, to where he's doing the King Follett sermon and all these other sermons that you're like, wow, I have to like reread this how many times? So I love that you saw that as a benefit. I wanted to ask you too, what, for women that are listening, wanting to get to that space, you gave great tips. And I'm just going to summarize some of these right now. Pray anytime. Let me lift this up, because I always like taking notes on this. Pray anytime, anywhere for the divine downloads, then get it down in a way that works on a sticky note or in a voice note or whatever. Practice consistently. So you've set aside a time. The next one was a designated time. Then choose your spot. So you can connect that mentally and emotionally to, that's my writing space, right? So choose your writing space, and then learn your rhythm. You realize that after dinner is just not going to work for you. So stop making yourself do that. Find the writing time that works for you. So in all of those tips, is there any other thing that you haven't mentioned for women that want to be writing and they feel like, I just don't have time and I don't have energy and I don't know how to gather my thoughts? Is there any other piece of advice that you feel like, I wish I would have known this, or this is something that I learned and this really helped me? Anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I just encourage women to, I'm not exactly sure how to say this, but I think sometimes we just give and give and give, and we don't even know that it's okay to like get a babysitter and take that time for yourself. And writing, I have a quote from President Hinckley. Let me see if I can find it really quick. This is a quote that just inspired me. He said, "May I suggest that you write, that you keep journals, that you express your thoughts on paper. Writing is a great discipline. It is a tremendous educational effort. It will assist you in various ways and bless the lives of many, your family and others, now and in the years to come, as you put on paper some of your experiences and some of your musings." And I have this quote from President Nelson as well that says, "Whatever your calling, whatever your circumstances, we need your impressions, your insights, and your inspiration." And we just need to do it. We just need to know that it's okay to take time. One thing I do at the end of every day is I write down, it's like the ugliest journal you've ever seen. It's in a spreadsheet, it's the date, and then I write some noteworthy things from the day, some impressions that came to me, new things I'm working on for my blog. And, when I tried to write pretty journals, people have such beautiful journals and I don't like my handwriting. When I put it in a dumb, ugly spreadsheet, I finally got it done. And now I have a year and a half, I think, going on 2 years where I've written every single day because I only committed to writing one noteworthy thing about the day. So if you can do that, and then you'll find that you'll probably write more, and just give yourself permission. We moms need whatever fills our soul. If that's like training for a marathon, you do it. Figure out a way. If your husband doesn't want to watch the kids for 3 hours while you train on Saturday, find, work with a friend, but I mean, we're talking specifically about writing. And I just know so many moms want to do that. And maybe you can only do a little Instagram post or something, but don't be afraid to express yourself. Other people need to hear it and be inspired by you. And it is so, you come to know yourself as much as anything else when you're writing and just recording your little impressions and thoughts. I hope that's helpful.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
just think
gorgeous.
it's so important.
It's gorgeous and you're spot on. And I have seen that, we always talk about the pie and the mom pie, like you're giving and divvying out to everybody all day long, and mom gets a slice too. And the fact, I love those quotes. We'll put them in the show notes. I love those quotes because it's so true. I know one of the gals that she's a very successful author, and we both have many kids. And in fact, she's remarried and she has stepkids now. So I think they have 9 between, them. And then I have 7. And she and we both had 6th graders at one point, and we wanted to share things for our 6th graders. We thought, well, other moms are dealing with this. Let's write a book together. But we literally only had 1 month that we could in our whole schedule be able to even look at that. And we sat down and we did it. We had the kitchen table and the kids were running around, but we made the time and made it happen. And do you know, that is such a priceless gem for both of us, because we were able to use experiences from our families and things like that, appropriate ones, that they were happy to have us share. But it's a little record of that time.
Yes.
And I have seen in 18 books that, not like 18, but 18 books that I've written, there's this history of our family and my life in these books. And
Yes.
it is I don't remember half of what I read in there now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot that happened. And sometimes that's a very good thing. But I look at that and I'm thinking, what a gift that we have this. What a gift that I got that down and that I respected and revered those memories, and that now we have them. So I love that you brought that up, because sometimes the women do not value that, even if it's for no other thing. Ava Weitzman in her talk, Women in Education, Future Only God Could See, it's a BYU devotional, but she talks about, even if there's no other value out there that is perceived in society, us being able to pursue our education, to get skills, to write things down, to have these experiences improves us, which improves our family, which improves our community, just by virtue of doing it. So beautifully put. Rachel, this is phenomenal. And I wanted to share one more thing. You have influenced your family, which I see this happening. This gal that Rochelle, she ended up going on to, now she helps us with our stuff. She is our book mom. She does book and publishing and marketing, and she's amazing. She's award-winning, all these things. And she's taught her daughter editing and all these different skills. And now her daughter, this is how she is doing her income, is learning how to do this editing and now doing editing for other people. And she's done some high profile editing. So you look at this domino effect of women doing something, moving it forward, and for themselves to say, I'm going to grow and develop. And it just naturally flows into family. So you've been able to influence your sweet husband. Tell us about his book and what that was.
So my husband, actually, going back to the start of 2021, we both made a word of the year. My word was fun. His word was published. And he had this book that he had written, I think it was maybe as long as 30 years ago. He wrote me an anniversary card, but he wrote it in the form of a story. And he wrote about this frog that meets this toad named Lily. And the frog is like grumpy and pessimistic and everything. And my husband's not really like that, but it's a story. And he bumps into this frog and she's like all sunny and happy. And so it's called In Case It Suns, because the frog goes out every day and takes his walk with his umbrella and his galoshes, and he bumps right into this toad, and her backpack spills out, and there are sunglasses and sunscreen and a towel, and he's like, why do you have all these things? And she says, in case it suns. And then she invites him to come to the big stump. And anyway, that he finally, I think having the word of the year finally gave him the impetus, because it's been hard to figure out, like, how do you go about publishing? There's self-publishing, but there's so few gatekeepers now. He was finally able to figure out, the illustrations. He found someone on Fiverr, and she did such a beautiful job. You guys have to go see the book just on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. You can order a hard copy. Just for the illustrations alone. And he had done the illustrations in like pencil, and she built upon that. And it was amazing. The cost was almost ridiculously low. I think he paid her even more than what he was billed, And so he found someone to do the illustrations. And then we had to figure out the next piece, like, how do you put this on Amazon and format it? And our son's a graphic designer, so he was able to help with some of the formatting issues. And so he got it on Kindle, and then next step was, how do we do the hard copy of this? And as there's a lot of steps to publishing, and that can make it so hard, even when you have the best idea in the world, but just taking it a step at a time. And I just, again, encourage all of the moms out there to, if you have a dream like that, if you have something written down, just like go for it. And yeah, it was the sweetest, happiest moment of my life when that book was an actual book form, and every step of the way was so awesome. It was just such a joy to both of us to see those illustrations created. And he actually has another one that he wrote years ago too, that's also in the works. Illustrations are done, and it's just been such a dream and such a break from what he does as a computer programmer, and so soul-filling. And the first time the grandkids got to read it, and they just love it, and it's like grandpa wrote it, and he had looked forward for years to reading it to our kids, and now we have grandkids, and it's just been the sweetest experience. So
oh my gosh,
I encourage everyone to pursue whatever it is that you're dreaming of right now.
Yes, and it sounds like you've been a huge help along the way in that process.
Yeah, I had to keep like boosting the ego, especially after it came out. He's like, I don't know what people think. And I was like, it is darling. I mean, how many books have we read to our 6 children? And that was always one of his favorite activities, reading to the kids. But some of the books out there are just terrible, children's books. And I was like, this is so much better than at least 50% of what we've read to our kids over the years. And anyway, yeah, I'm still having to work with them, because now it's the step of, it's just going to sit there unless we start promoting it. You gotta get it out for people. You create art to share it. But that is, for me, that's been the scariest part. You should speak to that, because like I was saying, even with my little blog post that no one's going to see unless I promote it.
Yes.
It's kind of scary to put your own artwork out into the world.
It is. And especially for women. And we have this thing about that doesn't seem humble. That doesn't seem meek if we're going, self-promoting. And I feel so strongly, we need to reread those sections. We are to be a light on the hill. And we are bringing people to him. It's not saying, look how awesome I am. We're saying, look at truth. Look at these positive things we're sharing. Look at how you feel the Spirit. Look how it can fill you when you read or experience this thing that I've taken time in the Spirit to create. And it's all leading back to him. And when we shift that lens, it shifts everything. Then we're happy to be a megaphone for him. Then we're like, oh my gosh, you can't wait to read this. It feels so good. I felt so good writing this. And I'm so grateful to him to help me make this happen. Then it's different. It all changes.
Yeah. When you don't make it about you, that's one of the things I was going to mention when you asked about, like, what do I notice when I'm writing the Spirit? One of the things I wrote down was charity. And we define that in our religion as the pure love of Christ. And you just feel that for people that you want to share this with. When it's not about you, you will feel love for them, and I think they will feel it from you as they read what you wrote, and it really has the potential to uplift people and help them in so many ways. So I love the scripture that says, let your light so shine before men. Like, sometimes I like to change the can't think what the word is, but I like to think of it as let your light so shine, like let that thing out there. Let's spread that positivity like it's the coronavirus. Okay. Let's, let's
Let's
go.
infect everybody with the goodness. Yes. I love it. Rachel, this has been an absolute joy. It is, I'm thinking about that scripture where Ammon and the sons of Mosiah, everybody comes back together and they're just so happy to see each other. And they're like, they're still strong in the spirit and they're still doing all these beautiful things. And wow, you're amazing. And that's how I'm feeling right now. Just so much joy and happiness and rejoicing in your goodness and the learning and the success and the becoming that you've been experiencing. It's beautiful. Others are going to be feeling the same way. Where's the best way for them to reach you besides with your blog, the mom? Tell us the blog
dash mindset, because you can't always get the URL that you want.
Yes.
I had to put a dash in there, but actually makes more sense that way. Yeah, so that is I need to get going with the Instagram and the Facebook with that. But right now they can go there, they can subscribe, and it's a weekly blog post. Right now, there's no courses, there's no book, there's no coaching. I mean, that's the direction I feel like I'm going. But so far, they can just email me, Rachel at mom-mindset.com. Or, if anyone wants someone to come and speak to their Relief Society or anything, I would absolutely love to do that. So you can just email me at that email address.
I love it. And I love how you said right now. Right? You're opening that door and keeping it open for that Joseph Smith, something better. So not right this second, but yes, I'm working towards that. And that's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Love having you here today. You shared beautiful tips for women to be able to use right now, takeaways that they can go and make that happen for themselves. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's such a joy. And as always, if you like these interviews and you love these podcasts, go below, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always, know that we have all the tools that you will need to move forward. If this is something you desire to be an influential writer, speaker, or media presence, we can help you life hack it and still stay focused as a mom and helping you to do it for him. And check it out at ConnieSokol.com. And we have retreats and leadership circle that we can help make that happen for you so that you can get back to doing family stuff, but still make this happen and they can involve and enjoy it with you. We love you and thank you for being with us today to take your next step in living your purpose-filled life and doing it for him.